Hey, all you Greta's and Chutas cats out there. Welcome to Unit 5, Section 11. We're looking at ecological footprints. Now, we did talk about this earlier in the year, so this should be at least a little bit familiar. You guys did figure out your footprints towards the beginning of the year, and we'll figure them out again at the end of the year. And if you want, there's an activity with this you can do as well. So, if everyone lived like Americans, how many people could the Earth support? The current world population as of this summer was 7.8 billion. And if everyone lived like Americans, we could only support about 1.5 billion. We would need over 5 Earths to support everyone. So we should stop being Americans. So ecological footprint measures how fast we both consume resources and generate waste. So we're looking at your carbon footprint as far as how much energy you use, the land you use, the resources you use, all of the food, all of that. So we're looking how much we use all this stuff compared to how fast nature can, 1, absorb our waste, and 2, generate new resources. So our ecological footprint is the amount of biologically productive land and water needed to supply the people with resources and to absorb and recycle the waste and pollution produced by such resource use. So maybe you don't use that much stuff, but the stuff you do use, you make a lot of waste. Or maybe you use a lot of stuff, but you don't have as much waste. I don't know. Or both. So it's a measure of area in hectares. So what's a hectare? It's about 2.5 acres. So how much biologically productive space is actually available? We have 11.3 billion hectares. So for croplands, forest, fisheries, we are not counting deserts, glaciers, open oceans. So this is what we can actually use for stuff. So we have about 1.8 hectares available per person, which I think is about 4.7 acres. This number is it going to increase or decrease with increasing population size? As the population goes up, this number is going to go down. So we have forest and woodland, built land, other land, arable, we can plant on it, and then pasture areas. If biocapacity to replenish renewable resources and absorb waste and pollution is exceeded by the population's ecological footprint, there is an ecological deficit. So think of this like a credit card. If you spend more money than you have, you go into debt. So we're kind of doing that, but with the planet, and the bill is coming due, my friends. So we started hitting, this is awful. This is even before I was born, people. This was a long time ago. But if you look at ecological footprint versus biocapacity, it was 1970-ish. When we started entering ecological deficit. So not good, guys. Here is places that are below 50% of their biocapacity and above 15% of biocapacity, and then places that are above 50% of are in deficit. Over 50% of biocapacity and under, but still not good. Bad America. Here we go. So once again, we have our ecological footprint. If we continue going business as usual, this is where we're headed. If we somehow do a rapid reduction, we could get where we needed to. But we need to do a lot of changes like yesterday. So here's the world biocapacity by nation. I think I need to move to Brazil. China, we are here. And then the rest of the world. World footprint by nation. So China has the largest footprint, but also think about how many people China has. We are next. But if you look at footprint per person or per capita, we are totally the worst. We use up the most energy and we make the most waste out of any other person on the planet. We need to stop this. This is why you're taking this class. So here is ecological footprint per capita. We, once again, massively suck, as does part of Europe and a little bit of Asia and Australia. World ecological footprint by land and type. Our carbon footprint is the worst, and then the other ones have a definite impact, but it's that carbon footprint that takes us over one Earth, which once again we have one. We don't have any more than one. We need to get that number under. Global primary energy consumption. If you notice, most of it is fossil fuels. So your natural gas, your oil, and your coal are using up way, way more energy than we should be. So if you look at developed versus developing countries, usually the more money you have, the more stuff you use and the more waste you create. So we have overdeveloped countries, yay us, rich countries, emerging countries, developing countries, and poor countries. And you can see, once again, the more money you have, the more CO2 emissions you make. So hardcore correlation between average income and ecological footprint. That does not mean that just because you're rich, you have a large footprint. You can make much better choices with your life. Usually developing countries have smaller ecological footprints. Part of that is because they don't have stuff. But then, yeah, that's the main part. All right. So why do developed countries have a larger footprint? Food. We have different options for food. We can bring it from other places. We use way more energy, and the biomes that we are in. We intentionally choose to create cities in deserts and then ship everything in because we can afford to do that. This is showing how it is really hard to This is showing how it is kind of hard to balance. As you get more money, you have to make really, really conscientious choices to stay under one earth. The more human development we have, we're way above earth. Who is this guy? Go away, dude. So not good. If you are looking at the links in your packet, you will see you can figure out your ecological footprint and figure out your personal overshoot day. So the overshoot day is the day in the year where you have used up all of your allotted resources for the year. And so everything after that, you are personally going into like an ecological deficit. So it's kind of interesting to see. If you're hitting it in October, November, December, that's one thing. But if you're hitting your overshoot day in like March, you might want to rethink how you're doing stuff in your life. And that is the end of notes. You have survived yet again. So before we go, I want to let each and every one of you know you are good enough, you are smart enough, and people do like you. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good gad, do your homework.